I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig. Welcome to my new series called The Pivot. We are so excited to bring you deeper conversations with people who've made really impactful changes in their lives. We're going to find out how they do it and how you can also learn from their experience. We're thrilled to be partnering with Signal Relief, a pain patch reliever. I've used it and had tremendous success. We're really excited to have you join us and learn more about how to make the important pivots in your life. Welcome to The Pivot with Dr. Robi Ludwig. And today we are so happy to have Craig Deitelzweig. He is the president and CEO of Marx Realty. You will see this podcast studio, which he designed and will tell us more about. He is known as one of the leaders in creating space and hospitality where it feels like your home, and it is just so beautiful. I'm going to have him take you through what his philosophy is. And also, under Craig's leadership, he was selected by Crane's Best Places to Work for 2020, 2021, 2023, and 2024. Pretty good record. Craig, I'm so excited to have you here. And we are doing this podcast out of your lovely space. And you are really the founder or creator of transitioning how office space and environments are really considered. I want to hear more about your philosophy because it's unlike what we think about when we hear office spaces.
Yes, so thank you. And I'm happy to be here. And so the way that we got into office hospitality is what we call it, is when my career has been about 30 years, and mostly in office, but also in other asset classes as well. But in office, all the office buildings all felt the same. They were all kind of commodity if you think about it. They were very corporate. They either had white marble lobbies or gray marble lobbies. And it was all just about being safe. Mm-hmm. And then what I wanted was for people to love coming to work. And that really wasn't happening. It was actually the opposite. You kind of hated coming to work.
Yeah.
And you had these terrible, mean security guards. And, and it was hostile. It was like going to the dentist or something like that.
It could feel like a prison, some really might say.
Actually, our design philosophy is if it exists in a dental office, a hospital, a airport, or one of our competitors' buildings, then we know we don't want it in our buildings. So you won't see white marble in our buildings, for instance, for that very reason. We don't have turnstiles. We have doormen, and instead of security guards, we have concierges, and they know your name, and they open the door for you, and it starts right as you enter the property. So we have a signature scent. We actually really like to impact all of your senses. We think that's very important. Our lighting is kind of glowy. It makes you feel good. And then our spaces are warm and inviting, a little exclusive, but also warm and inviting at the same time. And then our goal is for people to say, this space is cozy, it's sexy. It's, those kind of words that you would never think of with an office space. And I think by doing that, it makes you feel that you love the space. And you're in the office more than you're at your home. So you should love the office.
Have you always been a person who loved working? And I just want to tell our audience that you started off at a top law firm, and you were telling me that you majored in sociology, and just the mixture of your educational background informs how you really think about business.
Yeah, so I was actually a finance major as well.
Oh, finance.
So finance and
I'm
sociology.
leaving out all the good details. So if I say anything, just imagine way more that I've missed out on.
But sociology was always interesting to me because I actually, the behavioral nature of it was very interesting to me. So for whatever reason, I would always enjoy going on a tour when tenants come. And I would watch them and listen to them and see what they're doing. And I've noticed that there was always sort of a pattern. So people always come in and they go right to the window. And so as a result, you can actually understand the path that people are going to take when they go into a space. And the flow really matters. And, this building's actually a building that was built in 1931. Elie Jacquin was the architect. But but it's an older building. It has some heritage to it. So our goal was to figure out, what was wrong with the building and how we can make it into a modern building, but also embrace that heritage, which is what makes the building so special.
How do you figure out what's wrong with the building?
We listen. So when we first took over the building, people were saying the ceiling heights were low. They actually weren't, but they were dropped because that's what architects often like to do is they'll drop the ceiling to the lowest point. So if there's a beam that's lower, then the entire ceiling grid will be that height. And we don't do that. So we go to the very highest, and then we actually chisel the beams to make it even taller because we think it's that important. So we listen, and then that comment will go away. Or there'll sometimes be instances where people will say there's a lot of columns. So what we'll do is we'll design the space to make those columns either disappear or be embraced. So in this space, you won't really see a column, but they're here. There might be in this wall over here, and they just go away. And that's kind of like, it's fun for us to do that. And it's a challenge that we love, and we love making space be better. And we really think our mission is to make people love coming to the office.
Now, my team, including myself, we absolutely love being in this space. And we had a guest who came in here and wants to have a wedding here now. And
Yeah.
so, and if you look at the windows here on this floor, they look like old train windows. And you have private art collections that you had designed specifically for the space. Did you ever want to be an interior decorator, or that's just something you learned along the way?
When I first transitioned from being a lawyer to real estate, I went to this real estate company and they put me on their Boston properties because those were their disaster properties. And I quickly learned that I actually have this ability to kind of rethink how spaces are used. So no, it was never anything I thought of at all. But when I do find that I'll go into a space and I'll notice where the ductwork is. I'll notice, why this space isn't working or is working, and try to learn from that and then do it in our portfolio.
And the psychology of it, I was once writing an article after I moved into my new space, and it's really important to make it your own and to feel proud about it, because you take that with you when you walk outside into the world, and it does shift how you experience yourself. And just as a therapist who walks into your space, it's like walking into a 5-star hotel where you want to be your better, most elegant self. Mm-hmm. And that's what the environment can do. But there are a lot of people who may not think the way you do, because this is expensive. This is an investment. And I had asked you, it costs a lot of money. Don't a lot of businesses say, we don't have the money for that? Or it's hard to make a profit if we're spending so much on beautifying a space?
We find it pays for itself. I mean, in this building, we've actually increased rents by 60% by doing this. So even though we're doing it because we want people to love coming to the office, it is a business. It is a business.
Yeah.
And it's profitable if done right. There are groups, though, who will spend, $30 million, and at the end of the day, it doesn't resonate. So it's not. I think too many folks just try to sort of check that box. They'll say, well, we need a lounge floor. But the lounge floor will feel like a lounge floor in Tampa, Florida at an airport, which I don't like.
Yes.
And so, so we really wanted to feel like the building's soul. And everything has to be distinctive and special. And if done right, it doesn't have to break the bank. It could just, make you feel good. And then we'll get the rents by doing that.
Where did you come up with this idea? I mean, you are very creative and you're so well trained. What made you think of this idea?
The way we came up with it was, this building was a commodity building. There was really nothing special about it. And as a result, tenants didn't want to come here, or they wanted to come here for the cheapest rent. And that wasn't an area where we wanted to be in. I would say it was actually a culmination of different things. I just didn't understand why everyone felt that an office building couldn't feel good. And so we engaged some architects, and they actually were like, you're not really going to do this, are you? And I'm like, no, we are. And, so the first iterations were slight tinkerings of what an existing office building would be like. This one did have a white marble lobby, for instance.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
It doesn't now?
No. So it took some time, and then we actually had to fire our leasing team. They just didn't get it. They were like, people are not going to, they thought that tech tenants would like it, but they didn't think that a insurance company would like it or a law firm would like it. And our first tenant was actually Mass Mutual, so an insurance company. And
that was a good sign.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And what they wanted what everybody wants. They want to be in space that makes you feel good, that makes you want to collaborate, that makes you want to come to the office. And that was pre-COVID. So after COVID, people really wanted to collaborate even more. So they needed that connection. And what we wanted to do was really create these spaces that made it easy for people to connect. And it's not just in these common areas. We actually do it in the tenant spaces too. So there are lounge spaces and cafes and warm materials in tenant spaces. And we really design all of them.
I was told by somebody who works here that you were also inspired by Paris. So I want to hear a little bit about that, but I also want to go a little bit way back. But tell me about how Paris also inspired you.
Well, this building is an Art Deco building. It's Beaux-Arts style. So a lot of the elements of this building really do have their heritage from France. So we brought some of those elements back. So our terrace is really inspired by a garden in Paris. And so we actually looked at all the flowers that were used in the 1930s in Paris and brought them into.
You did your homework. I am so impressed. I want to delve a little bit into your history because I'm a therapist and it's always fun to find out about how your background influenced you. And what many people may not know about you is that you were an elevator man and a doorman.
Yes. So that's actually probably how I got into wanting to do real estate. So the owner of the building was a gentleman named David Valentis. I don't know if you know that name, but he developed Dumbo. And at that time, he was developing Dumbo. And I would talk to him, and I just thought it was just, wow, you can really make this impact on people's lives and on New York, which I love so much. So yes, but I was a doorman, and and as a result of that, I do think that it's important to treat everyone really well, because sometimes people think you're a doorman, you're not important, but actually I think the doormen here are some of the most important people.
Absolutely.
And we get the most compliments about the doormen than anybody else. So it's a really, really critical role.
They're your greeters.
Totally.
And they remember you and hear you and know your name.
And they know everything that's going on.
And they know everything.
Everything that's going on.
So be nice.
Be nice to
get
them.
out.
That's right.
Yeah. Inspiration from the worst job you ever had?
Well, I would say there are jobs that I've had where some of the people that I've worked with were really not, I didn't agree with their philosophy. There are many folks in real estate, sadly, who just kind of want to nickel and dime and not really care about the customer experience. And I believe that worked for a time, but those days are over. And it's really important that the customer is always right and treated well. And what we're seeing in our buildings is, those tenants actually grow, or they tell a friend. And that's really so important. And so it's better to do the right thing. And I believe that it all comes back.
Yeah, karma does exist.
For sure.
Your mom was a big influence on you as we were talking, and she really helped you be the person you are today, especially as a person and a professional. Tell us a little bit more about her and how her work inspired you. Sure.
So my mom was very, I would say she was resilient. And I think that is probably the thing I admire most, had some good grit, and that's really in business. That's one of the most important things. But she was also a travel agent. And as a child, we would always travel throughout really the world. And each place that we went to, those became your happy places. Mm-hmm. So even today, whenever we travel with our family, I try to, take a photo of some image and bring it back into this space. So this space, actually, all the walls are cork, and that's from a trip to Portugal, where I thought, wow, how great is this? It's a sustainable material. It's soundproof. It's actually quite beautiful, the texture of it. So we use cork now in all of our properties.
And it's biodegradable, right?
Biodegradable.
Did you say that?
And everything. It's great.
You said something that I thought was so powerful, and it really inspired me, how when you kind of bring your travel into your own space, there's something magical about that space. There's something about living in a world that's filled with beauty and magic and sense of the extraordinary.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, it goes back to memories, and
Yeah.
like you should have memories in your office environment. And there's, if you think about, your childhood, you think about maybe, a time when you were on the beach, or, some scent that you remember. And I think it should be like that in the office too. It should be like, remember when we were sitting outside on the terrace,
Yeah.
and we were having drinks, and we kind of bonded, and, that type of thing. And that's really special. And I think, all these little things that you can bring from your travels into the environment make all the difference in the world.
I couldn't agree with you more. What's next for you? What can we expect to see from you and Marx Realty?
So we're looking right now to buy some big office buildings, and each building we'll think of as their own special place. So none of our buildings will be, stamp and repeat, copy and repeat. We just don't do that. So we'd like in each of those buildings to find the spirit of that building and bring it back. And especially in older buildings, which really get a bad rap these days. People think these old buildings, no one can use them. They're dinosaurs. But actually, if you think about hotels, some of the best hotels in the world are historic hotels.
Yes.
And you love that heritage that is there, but you modernize everything, but you do it in a way that's respectful to the past. And I think if you can do that in a non-Disney way, but in a really authentic type of way, in a modern way, I think people would prefer that over the glass and steel and the coldness of some of those properties.
You really have made that pivot. For somebody who is looking to you now as an inspiration, what would you recommend as helping them to pivot either from a creative idea personally or professionally? What's your best advice for us?
I really think it's go with your gut. Do what you are passionate about and go with your gut. I mean, there's always going to be naysayers. When we started this, people literally were like, "That's not gonna work," and it works, and now people are copying it, and we do think that's great. And so I would just say, just go with your gut, and always just be your best person too. Mm-hmm. I think we were talking about karma. Good things happen to good people, so be a good person.
Well, you're definitely a good person, and we love being here at 10 Grand Central, and we
Please
just
come
are
back.
thrilled to benefit from the beauty of this space and your generosity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.